Welcome to all my dear children. Today we are going to discuss on lesson number 6, that is a life process. As we all know, first what is mean by life process? Life process is nothing but all the living organisms need some activities like growth, body development, nutrition, excretion, etc. But we should know what is the basic term of life processes. Certain terms are there, that certain processes are there, life processes. The first one is nutrition. Second one is excretion, respiration and transportation. So these are the four life processes are basic. Then reproduction and control and coordination also the life process, but that is not a basic life processes. Right? Now this is the introduction. Now we should know about what is the definition of life processes. Life process means any living organism needs to survive. They need body maintenance and growth. That process is called life processes. So I told already the life process, basic life process are four types. I told first one is nutrition. Second, respiration. Third, transportation. The transportation we can tell as a circulation. The fourth one is excretion. Right. So now we should know what is nutrition. Nutrition is nothing but the process of taking nutrients. That process is called nutrition. And what is mean by respiration? Respiration is nothing but oxidation of food. Whatever the food we are eating, the food converts into energy. That process is called respiration. The third one is transportation. Transportation is nothing but the transfer of substances, energy, oxygen, carbon dioxide or other waste materials are transported from one place to another place. That is called transportation. Then the fourth one is excretion. Excretion is nothing but the removal of undigested waste. That is the nitrogenous waste are released from inside the body to outside. That is called excretion. Right? These are the definition. In that word I am telling you children, nutrition, respiration, excretion, control and coordination. All the terms are end by the word, words T-I-O-N, T-I-O-N. So T-I-O-N means the process. Nutrition is a process of taking nutrient. Respiration is a process of getting food in form of energy. These all are. Now, next we are going to discuss the first topic, nutrition. Nutrition, as we know all that what is the definition I have told. Now, we enter the topic, modes of nutrition. The modes of nutrition is classified into two types, that is autotrophic nutrition, another one is heterotrophic nutrition. First we should learn what is mean by autotrophic nutrition. The word autotrophic means, the auto means self, trophic means nutrition. So the self nutrition is called autotrophic nutrition. So those what the animals are involved for the autotrophic nutrition means mostly green plants are involved for autotrophic nutrition. So we have to give the correct definition for autotrophic nutrition. Those organisms can make their own food. That process is called autotrophic nutrition. Again I tell the term, auto means self, trophic means nutrition. Those who are the organism, they can make their own food. That process is called autotrophic nutrition. So those animals are called autotrophs. Now you learn the two terms. One is autotrophic nutrition, another one is autotrophs. Autotrophs means those who are the organism, they can make their own food. Those organisms called autotrophs. That process is called autotrophic nutrition. I hope you understand, right? Next we are going for that heterotrophic nutrition. So the animals, they cannot make their own food. So of course what they will do, they will depend on other animal for their food. That process is called hetero. So the word hetero means depends on others. Hetero means depends on other for the nutrition. That is called heterotrophic nutrition. Now we have to, in detail we have to discuss about autotrophic nutrition. For example, I told already all the green plants are involved for the autotrophic nutrition. Here the autotrophic nutrition only occur in green plant. How? Why it is occur only in green plant? What is the reason? Because the green plants are contain chlorophyll. Now you all are learned from lower classes what is chlorophyll, where does might be present, everything, right? So again I just give a glance. Chlorophylls are nothing but is a green pigment which present only in the plant. Right? So the chlorophyll is the main agent for synthesizing the own food. So that process is called autotrophic organism. They can make their food by the process of photosynthesis. The term is called photosynthesis. What is mean by photosynthesis? We have to know. Right? Photo means light, synthesis means preparation. With the help of light, they prepare the food. That process is called photosynthesis. You may think like that. Madam told light means any kind of light in your home, tube light and everything is there. They can use to prepare the food. It is not like that, the natural light. With the help of sunlight, they can prepare their own food. That process is called photosynthesis. Again I repeat, photo means light, synthesis means preparation. With the help of light, they prepare the food. Now we should know about what is mean by photosynthesis. So I am writing the heading raw materials of photosynthesis. PS for photosynthesis. What are the materials required for the photosynthesis? The first one is carbon dioxide. First one material is carbon dioxide. The second one is water. The third, as usual, all the green plants are having, that is a chlorophyll. Then another one is sunlight. These are the four substances is required for process of photosynthesis. So carbon dioxide, water, chlorophyll and sunlight. What are the raw materials required for the photosynthesis? If suppose they are asking for one word, you have to write carbon dioxide, water, chlorophyll and sunlight. Then we should know what is carbon dioxide. As we know that it is a gaseous, it is 0.03% present in the atmosphere. How the gas carbon dioxide enter inside the plant? With the help of stomata. Stomata is a small opening. Stomata means opening. It is present on the leaves. Most probably it is present on the lower surface of the leaves. Right? The stomata is a singular, stoma is a plural. Right? This is the plural form. So many stomas are present on the lower surface. Even it is scatteredly present on the upper surface of the leaves. So this stoma is helpful for the absorption of carbon dioxide. Now water. As we all learn from the 9th standard, the xylem is only the conducting tissue transport water as well as mineral. So the roots will absorb with the help of root hairs and all the waters can be passed from downward to upward movement by the help of xylem. So xylem, with the help of xylem, the water reach to the leaves. Already carbon dioxide is absorbed by stomata. Now chlorophyll already present on the leaf, so then sunlight is there. So one thing you have to keep it in your mind, this photosynthesis process occur only under the sunlight. So photosynthesis occur only on daytime, it does not occur in night time. So now we should know what are the functions of this raw material. So what is the function of carbon dioxide? This carbon dioxide converts into carbohydrate. So that is the main function. The carbon dioxide is converts into carbohydrate combined with water. So carbon dioxide and water both it combine, it make a carbohydrate. So I am writing here carbohydrate is nothing but glucose C6H12O6. This process is made, right? So under the observation of sunlight as well as chlorophyll. Right? So this is the main thing. Again I write the equation. You just see clearly children. Carbon dioxide plus water in the presence of sunlight with chlorophyll, it converts into carbohydrate, that is C6H12O6. It is nothing but it is a glucose. Along with it produce oxygen. This equation is very, very important. This way the plants can make their own food. This is called photosynthesis. Now, what is the role of chlorophyll? As we know that carbon dioxide, water combined, it produce glucose. How it is produced? With the help of this chlorophyll and sunlight. Actually, the sunlight is produced two energy. As we know that one is light energy as well as heat energy. Now, this chlorophyll is absorb the light energy and with the help of the carbon dioxide, it convert light energy into chemical energy. So, automatically the carbon dioxide and water along with that light energy, it convert the chemical substances is called glucose. So this is the main function of chlorophyll. What is the function of chlorophyll? Means it converts light energy into chemical energy, right? Carbon dioxide is converted into carbohydrate along with it. In this process you can get that two byproduct. As we know that what is mean by raw material, what is mean by byproduct. So if the left hand side whatever the substances is present, that is called raw materials. What is present above after the equation, that is called the product. So we are getting two products, one is glucose, another one is oxygen. That is the reason we should grow more plants, because if we want oxygen we need to grow more plants. Now we are going to learn about structure of stomata. As we know that stomata is the main small pore which is present on the surface of the leaf. It helps to absorb water as well as carbon dioxide, right? So now the structure, this is the structure of stomata, children. Now you see, children, this is the small hole which is present on the center. This is called stomata. I already told stomata is a singular, stoma is a plural, right? The stomata is covered by a two kidney shaped cells. This is the kidney shaped cells. These cells are called God cells, right? These God cells only maintain the whole, right? So after that it is a give the flower like appearance. This is called mesothelial, that is a epithelial cells or covered the God cells. If you see under the microscope, the stomata is having small ball like structures, that is called the without coloring. I just for your understanding I made that two coloring area, that is a two small circles are called the nucleus. Then without coloring I made the small ball like structures, these are called chloroplast. This chloroplast contain the pigment, that pigment is called chlorophyll. So that is the reason the chlorophyll is involved for the photosynthesis process, right? Next, what is the functioning of the God cells we should know. This is the opening and closing of the stomata, that is under control of God cells. So when the God cells will open, when the God cells will close means when the water content will more, that time it will open. So excess amount of water can be released in the form of water vapor. That process is called transpiration. So what is mean by transpiration? Means transpiration is nothing but the excess amount of water is released in the form of water vapor. So that time that it will be open. So suppose it is a hot time, daytime, sunlight is too heavy, means that time water level is very less inside, means automatically what happened, this God cells are closed, the stomata, it will not allow the water which were present inside, so it will retain inside the plant only. This way the God cells are protecting the stomata. Next we should know about chloroplast. I already told chloroplast you have learned from class 9th. Chloroplast is a one important cell organelle. This cell organelle contains the pigment. That pigment is called chlorophyll. This chlorophyll is involved for the process of photosynthesis. These all are, we know that is called grana. That is singular, we can say it is a granum. So many granums are combined, it make a grana, right? So single coin like structure we can say it is a thylakoid. Each and every disc inside the chlorophyll pigment is present. This chlorophyll pigment not only give the colors, it's also involved for the photosynthesis process. Next we are going to discuss heterotrophic mode of nutrition. As already I told that what is mean by heterotrophic nutrition. Hetero means depends on others for nutrition. That process is called heterotrophic nutrition. So what is mean by heterotrophic means? Hetero means depends on other for food. Trophic means nutrition. This is called a heterotrophic nutrition. These heterotrophic nutrition are classified into three types. One is holozoic nutrition. The second one it is called saprophytic nutrition. The third one is called a parasitic nutrition. There are the three types of heterotrophic nutrition: holozoic, saprophytic and parasitic nutrition. First we should know about what is mean by holozoic nutrition. Holozoic nutrition means those who are the organism taken food from outside, particularly solid food material can be taken outside and digestion happen inside the body. That is called the holozoic. Human being, animals, all lower animals are amoeba, paramecium, these all are come under the category of Holozoic nutrition. Again I repeat, what is mean by Holozoic nutrition means those who are the animals taken food from outside, particularly solid food material, and keep it inside for the digestion process. That is called Holozoic nutrition. Next one is saprophytic nutrition. This saprophytic organisms, those who are the organism involved for saprophytic nutrition, that animals are called saprophytes. Saprophytes is also called decomposers. You might have learned from the lower classes decomposers, right? So the decomposers, saprophytic nutrition means those who are the animals, those who are the organism taken food from dead and decaying matter. That organisms are called saprophytes. That nutrition is called saprophytic nutrition. So saprophytes also called decomposer. Why we are calling decomposer? D means deteriorate, destroy. Composers means it used to destroy the substances, organic, complex organic substances into simple organic substances. So this type of nutrition is called saprophytic nutrition. Next we are going to discuss parasitic nutrition. So the slight difference between the parasitic and saprophytic. The parasitic nutrition, here the animals can take the food from other living animals. Here the saprophytic, the animals can take food from dead and decaying matter, but parasitic nutrition, the animals can take food from other living organisms. So other living organisms, we can say that is that host. H-O-S-T, host, the other living organisms are called host. So this animal go and live inside or outside of the living organism. It is a host and derive the food from the living organism, that is called parasitic. For example, this parasitic mode of these animals are, those animals are called parasites, right? So this parasites nutrition are two, one is endoparasite, another one is exoparasite. So what is mean by endo? The animals, the parasite, suppose which present inside the living organism, that parasites are called endoparasite. For example, tapeworm, ascaris, or Taenia solium, or E. coli, these all are example of endoparasite. Next one is exoparasite. Exoparasite means, exo means outside. The organisms are present outside the living organism. This is called exoparasite. For example, lice or leech. These all are example of exoparasite, right? So now these are the three different types of heterotrophic nutrition. Again I repeat children, heterotrophic nutrition can be classified into three types. One is Holozoic nutrition, next one is saprophytic nutrition, third one is parasitic nutrition. I hope you will understand the definition, right? So first we have to discuss, next we are going to discuss on nutrition, that is that Holozoic nutrition in detail, right? Here I am writing H for Holozoic nutrition. So nutrition can be go for the 5 steps. The first step is called ingestion. The second step is called digestion. The third one is called absorption. The fourth one is called assimilation. The fifth one is called egestion or excretion. These are the 5 steps involved for the nutrition, right? So again I repeat, ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation and egestion. The egestion we can also called excretion, right? First we should know about what is mean by ingestion. Intaking of nutrient, that is called ingestion. Taking of nutrient, eating of nutrient, that is called ingestion. After eating, the food has to convert into complex substances into simple, or in your word if you tell, whatever the food substances we are eating, that should be digested. That process is called digestion. This digestion process occurs under the digestive enzyme. If the digestive enzymes are helped to digest the food material. Third one is absorption. After digest, the digested food material can be absorbed by the help of blood. That process is called absorption. So again I repeat, ingestion means intaking of food. Digestion means after intaking the food, it is digested with the help of digestive enzyme and converted into simpler substances. That process is called digestion. Third one is absorption. Digested food material can be absorbed by blood. That is called absorption. Next, fourth one is assimilation. Once the digested food is absorbed, it converts into energy. That is called assimilation. Assimilation term you have to clearly understand, children. What is mean by assimilation means after digest the food is digested, food is converted into energy. That energy is distributed each and every cell of our body. That process is called assimilation. Last one is called egestion. Egestion is also called excretion, I told. Why I am giving the two terms means egestion is applicable for lower animals, excretion is applicable for higher animals. So the term egestion means it helps to remove the undigested food in the form of gases or solid waste. It released from inside the body to outside. That is called egestion. Now in this, based on the steps, we are going to learn now nutrition in amoeba. As we all know that amoeba is a unicellular organism. Why we are calling amoeba as a unicellular organism, children? Because it is made up of single cell, right? So the amoeba is, now we are going to learn the amoeba nutrition. Same as usual, even though it is a small unicellular or multicellular, all 5 steps are very, very important for the nutrition. Right, so this amoeba mostly present in fresh water. It is not present in the salt water. It is present only in fresh water. At the same time, this is the omnivorous animal. You know that what is mean by omnivorous. They can eat plant as well as animal product. So this is the omnivorous. It is present in the fresh water. It is a unicellular organism. Now the process of taking food by amoeba, that process is called phagocytosis. The term is very important, children. Phagocytosis. What is mean by phago? Phago means swallowing. Swallow the food. Cytosis means inside the cell. So swallow inside the cell. That process is called phagocytosis. In your higher classes, you will learn the different type of phagocytosis. Now it is not needed. Which process is involved for taking amoeba nutrition means that is phagocytosis, right? So now the phagocytosis. Now how the amoebas? We have hand, we can take the food by our hand, we can eat with the help of our teeth and mouth. Then what about amoeba? They do not contain any mouth or anything. How they can collect the food material means by the help of pseudopodia. What is mean by pseudo? Pseudo means false. Podia means food. With the help of false food, they can collect the food material. So the amoeba can collect the food material by the help of pseudopodia. Now I am going to draw the picture of amoeba. As we know that amoeba is a irregular shape. We can draw any structure like structure. Alright. So this amoeba. Why I am telling that is a pseudopodia means it will not present every time. Whenever it is required, that time only the pseudopodia will develop. Pseudopodia is nothing but is a muscular food-like structure. It is created whenever it is needed. Suppose the food material is here. So what will happen? The pseudopodia will collect the food material and take it inside. So how it is taken? Actually each and every organism, it is made up of cell membrane. So the food particles get inside to the amoeba by the process is called diffusion. So we should know what is mean by diffusion. Diffusion is nothing but is a small process taken the food material from outside to inside or inside to outside. That is called diffusion. It is a simple process. It will not occur in higher animals. Because why? What is the reason? Amoeba is made up of only one cell. This diffusion process will not applicable in our body. Why? Because our body is made up of millions and billions of cells. So this is very slow process also. So this is applicable only in lower animals. So with the help of diffusion process, the food particles get inside the cytoplasm of the amoeba. So this is the common question, children. They will ask which process involved for taking the food inside the amoeba means diffusion process. Right? So they will ask another question. The diffusion process is applicable for higher animals? No, not at all. It is not applicable in higher animals. Why? Because amoeba is made up of unicell, only one cell. So one cell, it is easy for that to absorb the energy, and even though it is releasing outside also. But it is not possible for higher animals because our body is made up of many cells. Right? Now, as usual, I told that the nutrition is consists of 5 steps. The first step is ingestion. So with the help of how you have to write what is ingestion, I already told, taking of nutrients. So amoeba can collect the food material with the help of Pseudopodia by the process of diffusion and send inside the cytoplasm. Right? This is the first process. The second one is digestion. So I told that whatever the food material we are taking, that food material has to be digested inside. That process is the second process, that is called the digestion. Suppose amoeba is there, means as we all know that amoeba is a prokaryotic organism. You all learned from 9th standard what is mean by prokaryotic organisms, right? Mostly all the cell organelles are absent except ribosome and mesosome. Remaining all the cell organelles are absent. Now nucleus also, without nuclear membrane it is present. Now food particle enter inside the cytoplasm. This is the food. Now the food particle, next process, first ingestion is over, next we are going to discuss on the digestion. So once the food enter inside the cytoplasm of the amoeba, the food is covered by a vacuole. As we know that vacuole is nothing but a small bubble like structure. This bubble just covered the food material. So the bubble which covered, the vacuole which covered the food, that vacuole is called a food vacuole. So you should know that what is mean by food vacuole. The vacuole which covered the food material, that vacuole is called a food vacuole. Right? What is the difference between ordinary vacuole and food vacuole? This vacuole, the food vacuoles are contain digestive enzymes. Same like our stomach. Our stomach is contains some certain digestive enzyme. That is the reason it helps to digest our food. Same like that, amoeba does not contain any stomach or something. So the food vacuole is act as a stomach. So this food vacuole contains certain digestive enzyme. With the help of digestive enzyme, the food has to be digested inside. Now food is digested with the help of food vacuole. So they will ask what is the function of food vacuole in amoeba, means the food vacuole is nothing but a small vacuole which contain digestive enzyme. It helps to digest the food material. Clear? Next process is what? After digestion, it should be absorbed. The third process is absorption. Once the food is digested, the food vacuole, what will happen? It breaks itself. So the food vacuole is break itself and release all the digested food outside. So now what happened? Once the food is digested, complete digestion is over. That time the food vacuole breaks itself and release all the digested food on the cytoplasm. Right? Now food scatteredly, uniformly distributed on the cytoplasm. Then absorption means absorb all the nutrient. All the digested food is absorbed by the cytoplasm. That process is called absorption. Right? Now third step also over. Next we are going to discuss assimilation. Assimilation I already told. The digested food is converted into energy, that is the food. The last process is called egestion. Egestion means, suppose after absorption, after assimilation, the waste material has to be present, right? So that waste material can be collected by another vacuole. So it is different from food vacuole. Food vacuole only helps for digesting the food because it contains, yes, digestive enzyme. Now this another vacuole which collect all the waste material, that vacuole is called contractile vacuole. Contractile vacuole, CONTRACTILE. This vacuole it does not contain any digestive enzyme or nothing. This is the simple vacuole which collect all the waste material in the form of gases, carbon dioxide or etc. etc. It collect all the waste material and reach near to the cell membrane. So now where the contractile vacuole is present,
it reach to the cell membrane. After reaching the cell membrane, it eject out the waste material, the same process of diffusion. With the help of diffusion process, it eject out, it throw out the waste material. This process is called egestion. I hope you all are understand, children. Good morning, children. In this video, we are going to discuss on human nutrition. In the previous video, we discussed nutrition in amoeba. Same like that, all the unicellular organism nutrition it is happened the same way like paramecium also. In this, now we are going to discuss in detail human nutrition. This heading is very important, children. Here, human nutrition, the human body is made up of millions and billions of cells. So we need certain type of system to coordinate with the digestion process. So that human digestion is a system which consists of many digestive organs. It makes helpful for the digestion process. Now the human digestive system is consist of two portions. One is digestive gland, another one is digestive organ. Now digestive gland. So the word, what is the meaning of digestion means the gland which helps for digestion. So already I have explained the previous video, digestion means the complex food substances is converted into simpler substances. That process is called digestion. So the human digestive system comprised of two parts, one is digestive gland, another one is digestive organ. First we discuss on digestive glands. There are the four digestive glands present on the human body. The first one is salivary gland, the second one is liver, third one is gastric gland, fourth one is pancreas. There are the four digestive glands present on the human body, right? Again I repeat, salivary gland, liver, gastric gland and pancreas. First we need to discuss what is mean by salivary gland. So salivary glands are present inside the mouth. It produce a cleary watery fluid that is called saliva. So the saliva is produced from salivary gland. There are the three pairs of salivary gland present inside the mouth. One is present below the tongue, another two are present the sides of the cheek. So there are the how many pairs are salivary glands present? Yes, there are the three pairs. All the three pairs are producing a watery liquid that is called saliva. So what is saliva means? Saliva is nothing but a watery liquid which produced from the salivary gland, right? Now first we know about the saliva. As we all know that saliva is a watery liquid. What it is made up of? The saliva is made up of watery material, 90% of watery substances is present along with one enzyme also present. That enzyme is called salivary amylase. What we call that enzyme is called salivary amylase. So salivary amylase is the enzyme which is present in the saliva. The salivary amylase is also called ptyalin. So the P is silent here, children. So you have to pronounce the word ptyalin. So this is present inside the saliva. So saliva contains watery fluid along with the watery substances. One enzyme is present. That enzyme called as salivary amylase. What is the other name of salivary amylase? Yes, it is called ptyalin. P is silent. So P-T-Y-L-I-N. Ptyalin. This enzyme is present inside the saliva. Afterwards we will discuss what is the role of salivary amylase. Another one is normally the saliva per day 1 to 1.5 liter it is produced inside the mouth. How much? 1 to 1.5 liter. So per day it produce 1 to 1.5 liter it is produced inside the mouth. This is acidic in nature. So the saliva is acidic in nature. It is around 4 to 4.5 pH in nature. So this is the main point, children. Salivary amylase present inside the saliva. At the same time it is around 1 to 1.5 liter is produced per day. And the one is it is acidic in nature. It around 4 to 4.5 pH. Now first we should know what is the role of this salivary amylase. The salivary amylase helps to digest carbohydrate. Whatever the food we are eating, the food substances may be carbohydrate, protein, fat, vitamins and minerals, etc. etc. Now the salivary amylase digests only complex carbohydrate into simple. So the complex carbohydrate is converted into carbohydrates is converted into, that is a simple one, that is starch is converted into maltose by the help of amylase enzyme. So complex carbohydrate is converted into simple carbohydrate by the help of amylase enzyme. Particularly if you want to know the term, starch is converted into maltose. So starch is a complex sugar. The complex sugar is converted into maltose by the help of salivary amylase. This is the main function of salivary amylase, right? What is the function of salivary amylase? Means salivary amylase helps to digest complex carbohydrate into simple. So complex carbohydrate here, whatever the roti or rice or something we are eating, that is composed of starch. The starch is converted into maltose, right? Next, another one is it kills the germs. Next point, what? It kills germs. How it kills the germs? Because already I told that saliva contain acidic in nature. Saliva is acidic in nature. It is around 4 to 4.5 pH. So whatever the substances we are eating, sometimes some of the microorganisms also enter in our mouth. That microorganism or pathogens are killed by this saliva, because saliva is acidic in nature, right? Next one is it makes the food soften. So this is the next point. It makes food soft. So this is the third point. It makes food soft. Suppose whatever the food, dry food or rice or whatever we are eating, that food is mixed with the saliva, it makes the food soft. This is the third function. There are the three functions, children, saliva. One is with the help of salivary amylase, it converts complex carbohydrate into simple, means starch into maltose. Second one is it kills the germs. Third one is it makes the food softer, right? So how much liter it is produced per day? 1 to 1.5 liter it is produced per day. Next gland we are going to discuss, that is liver. Liver, it is a triangular like structure. It is a triangular like structure. This is the liver. This is a mushroom like structure. It is a triangular shaped organ. It is the largest organ in our body. Compare than any other organ, largest organ is what? Liver. At the same time, this is the organ present at the right side of our body. So the liver is present right side of our body. It can do different functions. More than 30-35 functions are doing by this liver, but this involved for the process of digestion. How? We have to discuss now. This liver is contained one duct. Duct means a small tube like structure. The tube is called bile duct. What do we call? Bile duct. So it contains bile duct. The bile duct is producing the juice is called bile. Okay. Now another one small notch like structure it is present. That notch like structure is called gallbladder. Okay. So this two part is very important for the liver. One is bile duct, another one is gallbladder. The bile duct, it is produce the fluid that is called bile. So normally the bile is greenish yellow in color. What is the color of the bile? Greenish yellow color. Right? It is around alkaline in nature. It is a bitter taste. Alkaline means it is a bitter taste. It is around 8 to 8.4 pH. So saliva is around 4 to 4.5 pH, but bile is 8 to 8.4. This is alkaline nature, that is acidic in nature. So the bile duct is produced bile juice. So this bile juice also helps. Now we have to discuss the function of the bile. The bile juice helps to digest fat. The bile juice, I already told it is a alkaline, around 8 to 8.5 pH, greenish yellow color. It digests fat. It digests fat. What is the function of bile? It digests fat. So complex fat into fatty acid as well as glycerol. So fatty acid as well as glycerol can be done by the help of this bile. So the bile juice is convert complex fat into fatty acid as well as glycerol. So now carbohydrate is digested by salivary amylase. Bile is digested by fat is digested by bile juice. Next we are going to discuss on pancreas. So this is also one kind of digestive gland. The pancreas present below the stomach. So it is a leaf-like structure. If you just see the picture, it is a leaf-like structure. This pancreas is produced, the juice is called pancreatic juice. This pancreatic juice helps for the digestion process. It comprises of 3 enzymes. One is trypsin, another one is lipase, another one is pancreatic amylase. So this pancreatic amylase helps to digest starch material, whatever it is left over from the mouth. Another one is lipases helps to, along with the bile juice, it convert fat into fatty acid. Then the trypsin is convert peptides into amino acid. This is the main function of pancreatic juice. This is also alkaline in nature. Next we are discuss on gastric gland. This is the 4th gland, that is gastric gland. This gland present inside the stomach. This gastric gland produce 3 substances. One is HCl, the second one is pepsin, the third one is mucus. There are the 3 substances produced from the gastric gland. So the gastric gland present inside the stomach. So this is the stomach, means inside the stomach these gastric glands are present. So after the mucus layer, the gastric glands are produced. From the gastric gland, there are the 3 substances are produced. One is hydrochloric acid, that is a HCl. The second one is pepsin. Third one is mucus. Now, first we should know about what is the function of the mucus. Mucus is nothing but it does not produce any enzymes or anything. It does not involved for the digestion process also. It is just to protect the inner wall of the stomach. So mucus is just to protect the inner wall, because sometimes hydrochloric acid secrete more, so that time it is acidic in nature. Of course it will corrode the inner wall of the stomach. So from that the mucuses protect the inner wall of the stomach from the conduction of hydrochloric acid. Next one is hydrochloric acid. This is the acid, but we are having the dilute hydrochloric acid. What is meant by dilute? Means the proportional will be 1:90. So 1:9 ratio it will be there. 90 ml of water means 1 ml of hydrochloric it is mentioned. So that is why it is a dilution will be very less. So it will not corrode the stomach. This hydrochloric acid kills the germs. So it is escaped from the mouth. Already salivary amylase kills the germs. Some of the germs are escaped from that mouth. That germs are killed by hydrochloric acid. At the same time, it makes the food acidic in nature. So that is the main function of hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid first function is it kills germs. Second, it makes food acidic. Then it makes the food into chyme. Chyme means it is complete digested substances it makes. Then next we are going to discuss on pepsin. This is very important, children. Pepsin. Pepsin main function is it converts protein into peptides. Proteins into peptides. The pepsin main function is it converts protein into peptides. But this protein is normally inactive in stage. When the hydrochloric acid started producing, that time only the pepsin become active. So once it is active, it converts protein into peptides. So this is followed by this trypsin convert the peptide into amino acid. So the final end product of protein is amino acid. In this video, we are going to discuss on digestive organs. The digestive organ starts from mouth, it ends at anus. So in between many organs are involved for the digestive system. Mouth, esophagus, so O is silent, so you have to pronounce esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, rectum and anus. This all the comprise of it is called the digestive organs. This digestive organs, this area we can call as a alimentary canal also. Why we call it as a alimentary canal means it helps for the digestion of the food material, at the same time it transport from mouth to till end. So that's why it is like a canal like structure, so that we can call as a alimentary canal. It around 9 to 10 meter in length. So it is around how many meter? How much meter? 9 to 10 meter in length. So it starts from mouth. So now we have to discuss this is the digestive system diagram, children. You just to go through it. This is the mouth part. First we have to discuss mouth. Mouth is also called buccal cavity. So what is the other name of mouth? Buccal cavity. Why we are telling it's a buccal cavity means it consists of teeth as well as tongue. As we all know, we have two sets of teeth. Is born, it is after 1 year, after 6 months they started growing the teeth. So that is called temporary teeth, milky teeth. 20 teeth are present in the milky teeth. Afterwards the milky teeth are converted into permanent teeth. So human 32 teeth are present. So that's why the teeth are called heterodont. Heterodont means we have 4 different kinds of teeth. One is incisor. Incisor, it is present in the front portion of the upper and lower jaws. Then next one is canine, then molar and premolar. There are the 4 different kinds of teeth present in the mouth. So what is the role of incisor? This incisor used to cut and bite the food material. Then canine is used to tear the food material. At the same time the molar and premolar are used and grind the food material. With the help of teeth, we are grinding and tearing the food very nicely. So the now food pieces are converted into small particles. Already I told that salivary gland is producing saliva. Now the saliva is mixed with the food. It makes the food softer. Next one is tongue. We have a muscular tongue. It is present inside our mouth. This tongue is one end. It is a backside portion. The posterior end is attached with the palate. The front portion is, that is the anterior portion is hanging. So this tongue helps to, it acts as a gustatory organ. What is the meaning of gustatory? Gustatory means it helps to identify the taste. There are the 4 different tastes we can identify. Main 4 tastes are sweet, bitter, salty and sour taste. There are the 4 different kinds of taste we can identify with the help of our tongue. So normally the sweet buds are present. The tongue is made up of taste bud. There are the 4 different kinds of taste buds are present. Sweet, bitter, salt and sour. So now the sweet taste buds are present at the tip of the tongue. That is the reason whenever you are eating any kind of sweets, we feel more sweet in the front portion of our tongue. Then back side of the tongue, it is bitter taste is present. That is the reason whenever we are taking tablets or something, we feel vomiting sensation and so much bitter taste in the back side of our tongue. The lower side it is present salty taste. The above the side it is present spicy as well as sour taste. So the tongue helps for 3 functions. One is what? It mixes the food along with the saliva. Then it helps to speaking. Without tongue we can't speak. Right? The third one is what? It identifies the different kinds of taste. Now the mouth is a main. Right? So next we go for the esophagus. I already told that the esophagus you have to pronounce eso. E should be first. O is the silent one. The esophagus is also called food pipe. This esophagus does not contain any kind of secretion. It does not produce any kind of digestive juice. Mouth is producing salivary amylase. So the salivary amylase helps to digest the carbohydrate. So protein, fat, as it is present. It does not do any kind of action. Then the digested food or remaining going to digest food, that all the food is passed through the esophagus. Now the esophagus is only one function. It is connected. One end is with mouth, another end with stomach. You just see the picture, the long tube-like structure, the narrow tube-like structure is called esophagus. One end is connected with the mouth, another end is connected with the stomach. This esophagus is also called a food pipe. This esophagus helps only transport the material from mouth to stomach, nothing else. Next we are going to discuss stomach. Stomach is a J-shaped structure. If you see, it is a J-shaped structure. It is a muscular handbag. We can tell it is a lady's handbag like structure. It is a full of pouch like appearance. So it is a J-shaped or inverted C-shaped structure. Right? It is a one end is connected with the esophagus, another end is connected with the small intestine. So this is already I told the stomach inside gastric glands are present. It produces three kinds of juices: hydrochloric acid, pepsin and mucus. So the stomach is used to digest the food. Particularly here the completion of carbohydrate digestion is over. Already it starts from the mouth. Completion here, the completely carbohydrate is digested inside the stomach only. So end product of carbohydrate is glucose. Now glucose is present inside the stomach. Remaining protein, fat is started digestion. So already I told pepsin helps to digest the protein into peptides, and gastric gland, the hydrochloric acid, it is converted to fat and sent inside the small intestine. Now I already told that the digestive system, the digestive glands, the alimentary canal around 9 to 10 meter long. Approximately the small intestine around 7 to 7.5 meter in nature. Remaining part. So 7 to 7.5 meter length the small intestine. Particularly in herbivorous animal compared than human being, they have more long small intestine. Why? Because they can eat the cellulosic material. It takes time to digest. That is the reason herbivores are having long small intestine. So our small intestine length is 7 to 7.5 nature. It is coil like structure. It is we can't find, it is a bundle of thread like structure, right? It is a coil. One end is connected with the stomach, another end is connected with the large intestine. This stomach, before food is entered, now the pancreas produce pancreatic juice and liver is produce the bile juice. Here we should know that the liver producing bile juice with the help of bile duct. This bile duct the bile is go and stored in the gallbladder. Bile is stored inside the gallbladder. I already told it is alkaline nature. It helps to digest fat into fatty. Pancreas helps to digest protein, fat, everything. Now here the stomach inside the food is converts into acidic. Now this food is enter inside the small intestine, means it may be the chance it can be tear, because small intestine is a delicate membrane like structure. So before entering the acidic food, it change into alkaline with the help of pancreatic juice as well as bile juice. Now food material is converted into alkaline. Now the food material get inside the small intestine. Small intestine convert remaining peptides into amino acid, fat into fatty acid, everything. The complete digestion of all the food material happen inside the small intestine. Right. Now we have to detailedly discuss that small intestine. I told already small intestine is a coil like structure around 7 to 7.5 meter in length. If you see the inside the small intestine, I draw here a small hair-like structure, it is present. A finger-like or small hair-like projections are present inside the small intestine. That projection is called villi. So it is very minute, so we can call it as a microvilli. This microvilli present more, that is the reason small intestines are provide large space. What is the role of the microvilli? It is a very important role. It helps the digested food material. For example, glucose, amino acid, fatty acid and glycerol, all the digested food material is absorbed by the help of this villi. This villi is send the digested food into blood. That is the main one. Now this is the absorption process is also over now. Next we have to discuss the large intestine. The name also shows that it is a large intestine. It is covered the small intestine. It is large in nature. It is consist of three parts, that is a colon, rectum and ileum. So now this is the end of the portion that anus is present. Now what is the role of the large intestine? Large intestine helps to reabsorb the water. One main function is what? It reabsorb the water. Reabsorbs the water and it is used to send undigested waste, nitrogenous waste material to outside with the help of anus. Anus is just ejected outside the waste. That is the tool is sending outside. So the large intestine helps to reabsorb the water as well as it send all undigested food material outside. Now Children, I hope you all are understand this, all the digestive gland. Again I repeat, digestive organs are start from the mouth, it ends anus. The mouth helps to digest carbohydrate, esophagus only transfer the food from mouth to stomach. Stomach helps to digest carbohydrate, protein, fat. It is a J-shaped organ, it is a muscular bag-like structure. One end is connected with the esophagus, another end is connected with the small intestine. Then it makes the food into acidic. Now the small intestine is a delicate membrane, it is around 7 to 7.5 meter length. This is convert the all kind of digestion is completed in the small intestine. At the same time, small intestine contain a finger like projection. It is called microvilli. Microvilli absorb all the nutrients and send inside the blood. Now the large intestine absorb water as well as all undigested food material. It is called nitrogenous waste material sent through the help of anus. Right? So what is the role of rectum means temporarily stool. Stool means the motion will be stored inside the rectum temporarily. Right? Here children, all the joints wherever mouth connected with esophagus, esophagus connected with stomach, stomach to small intestine to large intestine, all the space, one muscle is present. That muscle is called the sphincter muscle. The sphincter muscle, it is it is a circular muscle. It helps to open and close of the particular area. That's it. I hope you all are understand this class. Thank you. Have a nice day. Good morning children. This is my third video. In this video we are going to discuss respiration and its mechanism. Before seeing this video, please go through the previous video I have posted. That is part 1 and part 2. Please go through it. At the same time, you subscribe our channel Nija Education Campus. Don't forget. Now get into the chapter respiration, that is under the life processes only. The new heading, that is respiration. As we all know that yesterday we discussed the nutrition process consists of 5 steps, that is that ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation and excretion. So till absorption we discussed yesterday, this is the assimilation process, right? So digested food is assimilated into the body of the living organisms. Food is mainly for two purpose. It is used for two purpose. Before that we should know what is mean by assimilation. Assimilation means once the food absorbed by the blood and converts into energy. Once it converts energy, the entire energy is distributed even a cell also. That process is called assimilation. So now yesterday the small intestine absorbed all the food material, digested food material with the help of microvilli and sent to blood. Till that we discuss. Now today that assimilation process we are going to discuss means that food is converted into energy. How it is converted, that we are going to discuss in the assimilation. So there are the two purpose the assimilated food is there. One is the assimilated food is used as a fuel to get energy for the various life processes. As we yesterday discussed that life processes are different types, right? Nutrition, excretion, respiration, transportation, etc., etc. All the life process if we want to carry, so we need assimilated food. What is the meaning of assimilated food? The food is digested, it converts into energy. So the assimilated food is used as a fuel to get energy for the various process. And the second main function, the assimilated food is used as a material for the growth and repair of the body. Not only for the life processes, it also helpful for the growth of the organisms and repair of the body cells. Already what are the cells are dead or worn out, the new cells will be managed by the help of assimilated food. Right. Next we have to discuss what is mean by respiration. The respiration terms we have to do. Respiration means the food is releasing energy. That process is called respiration. We can tell in the scientific word, oxidation of food is called as respiration, right? So the food is converted into energy. That process is called respiration. One more term we can tell, oxidation of food is called respiration, right? Now I am writing the definition for the respiration. the food release into energy. That process is called respiration, or we can tell that oxidation of food. Food is also called respiration. Now, what is meaning of oxidation? Oxidation means it is adding of oxygen into the food. Now, I am writing the equation. You just see that food combined with oxygen, it converts into energy. Along with the energy, it releases some waste material like carbon dioxide and water in the form of water vapor. This process is called a respiration. So the respiration is the equation. The food when combined with oxygen, it produces energy. Along with that energy, it produces carbon dioxide as well as water. We should know that what are the end product of carbohydrate, protein and fat. Right, the carbohydrate finally converts into glucose, that is the end product of carbohydrate. The protein converts into amino acid, that is the end product of protein. Fat is converted into two substances, that is called fatty acid as well as glycerol. So this is the important question, children. What are the byproducts we are getting from carbohydrate? Protein, fat means you have to write glucose, amino acid, fatty acid as well as glycerol. Now this amino acid and fatty acid will be stored in our body. The amino acid helps for the synthesis of protein. At the same time, this fatty acid and glycerol involved for the energy purpose. Along that, it is go and deposited on the adipose tissue. Now our motto is this glucose how it converts into energy. So I am writing here the equation. The glucose combined with oxygen, it converts into energy. Along with that energy, other two waste product also released, that is carbon dioxide as well as water. Water is released in the form of water vapor. So glucose formula C6H12O6 plus oxygen formula O2, it converts into ATP. This is the energy. Energy in the chemical term we can tell it is a ATP. All the three letters are capital. So A for adenosine, T for tri, P for phosphate. So ATP means adenosine triphosphate. So this is called energy. So we can tell it is the energy currency of the cell. So DAS is the energy currency of the cell means ATP. So ATP is the inorganic substances which gives the energy to cell. Right. So along with that carbon dioxide and water it is producing. Next we are going to discuss the types of respiration. Based on the oxygen, the respirations are classified into two types. How many types? It is classified into two types based on the involvement of oxygen. First one is aerobic respiration. Second one is anaerobic respiration. Aerobic, another one is anaerobic. So here that oxygen is compulsory present. This is anaerobic means an means absence. So the absence of respiration is occur. Without oxygen the respiration occur with, that is called anaerobic respiration. First one is oxygen is present, oxygen is absent. Mostly the aerobic respiration occur in all living organisms like plants, microorganisms, animals, etc. But anaerobic respiration occur in certain organisms like bacteria, yeast, and sometimes it occurs in human muscles also. How? I will explain later. Then it is also occur in germinating seeds. So the seeds going to germinate, that time this process, germination process also, this anaerobic processes occur. Now the aerobic respiration occurs that organisms are called aerobus. So what is aerobus means? The organisms which involved for the aerobic respiration, that organisms are called aerobus. Example, plants and animals. Clear? Next, those who are the animals or organism involved for, without oxygen they are doing respiration, they are releasing energy. Those animals are called anaerobus. Okay, so you should know the difference between aerobus and anaerobus. Aerobus means those who are the organism getting energy in the presence of oxygen. And another one is without oxygen they are releasing energy. That organisms are called anaerobes. Example, yeast and certain bacteria. Not all the bacteria are anaerobes. Certain bacteria like Zymomonas mobilis, etc. Now we are going to discuss the difference between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. As we already in the previous slide I told that the presence of oxygen is must in the aerobic respiration. In anaerobic respiration, oxygen is not important. It is not at all required. Those organisms called anaerobes. I told already, example yeast and certain bacteria. Now this aerobic respiration is occur in two steps. What are the things means? First, glucose is converted into pyruvate. You know the formula of glucose, C6H12O6. This glucose is converted into pyruvate. Right? This pyruvate formula is C3H4O3. In this pyruvate is converted into ATP. This is the second step. So I told that it is occur in two steps. First, glucose is converted into pyruvate. Then second step, the pyruvate is converted into energy. So the first step, the glucose converted into pyruvate, it occurs on the cytoplasm of the cell. Next, the pyruvate is converted into energy. This process, the second step, occur inside the mitochondria. That's why we are telling mitochondria is a powerhouse of the cell, because mitochondria contain ATPase enzymes. This way the cellular respiration also occur. At the same time, here the anaerobic respiration, the glucose is in the absence of oxygen. First it produces pyruvate. The pyruvate immediately converted into two substances. It is that ethanol along with that energy. But ethanol, it is a ethyl alcohol, it is a alcohol, it is not produced in human body. I told that sometimes anaerobic respiration occur in human body also. This ethyl alcohol produced in yeast or bacteria. That is the reason yeast and bacteria are involved for the process of fermentation, producing of beverages. Right? So this is the byproduct. The pyruvic acid is converted into ethanol along with that energy produced. In human body, it is when the human is doing severe exercise, vigorous exercise. That time what will happen? Our body getting lack of oxygen. So meantime the oxygen, without oxygen also the respiration process is occur in certain muscle area. That process is called anaerobic respiration. So now glucose is converted into pyruvate. The pyruvate is converted into lactic acid. So C3 is the same molecules. Carbon 3 only, but the hydrogen atom will be 6 here, C3H6 and O3. This is called the lactic acid. So the lactic acid is produced in the human body, ethyl alcohol produced in yeast and certain bacteria. That process is called the fermentation. So this, here if you see this, aerobic respiration occur in two steps, but anaerobic respiration is occur in only one step. Where means it occurs in the cytoplasm, because anaerobic respiration no oxygen, so without oxygen mitochondria process will not be occur. So the entire process occur in only one step, that is occur on the cytoplasm. Okay, here aerobic or anaerobic, which is giving more energy, means the complete oxidation. The glucose is completely oxidized. So more energy is produced from aerobic respiration. Here glucose does not decompose completely. It produces less amount of energy. For example, 1 gram of glucose is converted into 38 molecules of ATP. Just 1 gram of glucose is converted into 38, more energy is produced. Here 1 gram of glucose is converted into 8 ATP molecules. So more energy is produced from aerobic respiration, less energy produced here. Clear? Last point you have to write the examples, human body, plants, etc. Here you have to write yeast, sometimes human muscle and germinating seed. I hope you all are understand the differences. Welcome back children. This is my 4th video. Please go through the previous videos, then only you will get the coherent result. So please go through all the video. At the same time you subscribe our channel Nirja Campus, Nirja Education Campus. Thank you. Now we are going to discuss on the respiratory system. So now in this video we are going to discuss full and full human respiratory system. So human respiratory system means the organs which involved for the respiration, that organs are make respiratory system. So it starts from the nose connected with a nasal passage, there is a nasal passage, then it is connected with the windpipe, so that is called trachea. The trachea is divided into two Y-shaped structure, that is called bronchi. The bronchi is divided many small tube-like structures, that is called bronchiole. The bronchiole is covered by a network-like structure that is called air sac. The air sac we also called as alveoli. This is contained rich amount of blood vessels. Now each and every part we have to discuss. First, nose. Nose is just to transfer the gases from outside the environment to inside our body. Here if you see the inside our nose, so many hair-like particles or hairs are present, at the same time some mucous slimy membrane also present. What is the role of the hair-like appearance means? It just to filter the dust material, it comes from the air. At the same time it allows the air inside the nasal passage. Nasal passage allowed to windpipe. Here in between the nasal passage and trachea, one more area also present, that is a connector, that is called the pharynx. The pharynx is nothing but it connect nose as well as, there is a mouth, backside of the mouth as well as trachea. Trachea is also called windpipe. This trachea, it is made up of cartilage bone. So as we know that the bones are two types, bone as well as cartilage bone. This is flexible in nature, it will not collapse or it will not break easily, right? At the same time, this trachea is divided into Y-shaped structure, that is called bronchi. The bronchi is divided many small tube-like structures, that is called bronchiole. Bronchiole is covered by a network of blood vessels, that is called a air sac. Now as we know that respiration is a process of oxidizing food. Already the food is come from the digestive system. Now we have to get the energy. So this air, it is going inside. Once the air go inside the air sac, this air sac, it is absorb the oxygen and send inside the blood. So blood already having the food substances, it combined with oxygen, it release as a energy. At the same time, whatever the waste gases like carbon dioxide, water vapor, everything, it will be come back to the alveoli release outside. So this entire apartment, it is covered by a muscular organ, that is called lungs. The lungs is outer side of the lungs, it is covered by a rib cages, so it is located in the thoracic cavity. Here down one dome shaped muscle seat is present. That muscle seat is called the diaphragm. What we call? This is called the diaphragm. This muscle seat separate our body, abdominal and above the area, it is divided. So this portion is called the chest region, that below the portion is called the abdominal region. This is divided by the muscle seat, that is called the diaphragm. Now we are going to discuss breathing. What is mean by breathing? How the breathing is correlated with the respiration. As we know that the breathing is nothing but it is a physical process. Breathing is equal to inhalation and exhalation. So these two combination is called breathing. What is the word meaning of inhalation? Inhalation means intaking of gases. We are not inhaling only oxygen. We inhale nitrogen, carbon dioxide, some amount of water vapor, oxygen, everything. But only we are absorbing oxygen. Remaining all the gases we are sending as it is outside. Exhalation means releasing of gases. That is called breathing. So breathing is a physical process, but what about the respiration? So the respiration is the combination of breathing as well as it producing energy. So respiration is a biochemical process. Why we are telling it is a biochemical process means with the help of some chemical substances, for example oxygen combined with food, it produces energy in living organism. That's why the respiration is called a biochemical process, but breathing is called a physical process. When we are doing breathing, we come to know physically some of the changes it is happen in our body, that is called a physical process. This breathing, there is I already told it is divided into two. This is one is inhalation, another one is exhalation. Inhalation means intaking of gases. Exhalation means releasing of gases. When we do inhalation, that time automatically our rib region, our rib bones are come forward. Then due to that the lungs will be enlarged. So it gives more space to absorb more amount of gases inside. At that time, I already told the diaphragm is a muscular sheet, it is a dome shaped structure. That time what will happen? The dome shaped diaphragm, it is goes to the straight position. Automatically lungs become enlarged, the ribs will be moved forward, then the diaphragm will be straight position. So it takes more amount of gases inside. This is called the inhalation. An adult human per minute 15 to 18 times that breathing processes occur. Next one is exhalation. This exhalation is nothing but releasing of gas outside. Already I told that this diaphragm, it is in the straight position, it will come to the dome shape. Automatically the lungs will constrict. It is come to the original position. The ribs also come backward. So this due to that what happened? The alveoli will be released outside the gas. This process is called exhalation. Right? I hope you all are understood. Next video we will discuss transportation. Thank you. Have a nice day.